Friday morning, 7 a.m. Who's ready for a brutal honesty? Brutal honesty. Okay, so I'll start with you guys. Tell me, who here has a problem with addiction? Show of hands. Oh, okay. About half the audience is honest. Okay, good. So today, what we can do is I want to shed some light on this issue of addiction and perhaps even change the way that you think about it in your perspective on the subject. So here, let me give you a new working definition for an addiction, or more specifically, let's call it a harmful addiction. And I'm going to define that as any behavior, activity that you engage in where you trade instant gratification now at the expense of well-being later. You understand what I'm saying? So anything that you do now just to get your fix and feel good now, whether it be obviously like a drug or an alcohol or anything like that, or even just some pastries, I don't know. If you're doing that now and you know darn well in your mind that it's not good for you and it's going to hurt you later, I would call that a harmful addiction. Okay. That's really the way I think of it from my perspective. I think those are the behaviors that we're compelled to do, and we do them, and we hurt ourselves. It doesn't necessarily need to involve anything extreme or extraordinary. It's the situations that we put ourselves in, the way that we compromise ourselves and our future just to get that instant gratification now. And if you ask me, that's really what everyone is addicted to. It's it's the chemical reaction that happens in your body. It's the dopamine kick that happens in your brain. Whether you're snorting cocaine or just eating something delicious, you're triggering the same dopamine circuit in your brain. And that's what causes us to just feel drawn and compelled to things that make us feel really, really good now. But unfortunately, like I said, that happens at the expense of long-term well-being. So that's my working definition for it, and I think that everyone, still has this problem in some way, shape, or form. And I don't necessarily think it's anyone's position to, point fingers at someone else like they have this problem of addiction. No, human beings have this problem of addiction. We all do this in some way, shape, or form. And so it's really a problem that we ought to be working on together. How do we get ourselves to stop doing this? Is really the question. What do you guys think? You guys have any ideas or thoughts on the subject? How do we get ourselves to stop hurting ourselves?
The first thing is realizing you have a problem.
Oh, that's a very important step, as acknowledgement. We're not going to change or do anything unless we acknowledge that something needs to be done. And the truth is that a lot of people don't want to change it. They just want to keep getting their kicks now at the expense of the long-term well-being. That's just how some people are. Any other ideas?
It's a form of healing process or something else, maybe.
A healing process for something else?
Yeah, a healing process, like you're trying to get over something, and that's a substitute.
That's a nice way of putting it there. It's like there's something else that's sort of bringing us down, setting us out of balance, and we do that to make ourselves feel better or more in balance, right? Who's ever eaten a tub of ice cream after a rough day? Huh? Makes you feel better. Brings balance back to your system, huh? When you feel unbalanced and mopey, eat some ice cream. That's a very good way of putting it and a very good way of thinking about it. What else could we do to deal with this, stop hurting ourselves?
I guess we could try to envision that long-term impact right away, so that that is what you think about when you eat this thing or do this thing that's bad for you, that's addictive, right? Because the first thing in your mind on the addiction is how good it's going to feel. Mm-hmm. If you change that mindset and say, okay, it's not how good you're going to feel in 5 minutes for only 5 minutes. It's how terrible you'll feel or whatever, how bad health you'll be in down the road if you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. We could almost do like just a simple visualization exercise, right? We know that if we eat the yummy, yummy, goody, goody right now, it's going to feel great for just a little bit, right? A very small sliver of time relative to how you'll be, dragging butt for the rest of the day or putting on
But
a few
that
extra
5
pounds.
minutes is really
But that
good.
5 minutes is really good. It's so compelling. It's so enticing. But yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. Anyone else have thoughts on the matter? What's up, Dave?
Address the real problem,
Okay. Okay.
whether that's seeking mental help, counseling, coaching, admitting it publicly,
Yeah.
getting friends that help you become accountable, like really tackle the root.
Yeah. What is it that's making us feel like we're out of balance and we need something to make us feel better? That's a really good way of putting it. And I agree with pretty much everything that you guys are saying. It's like we're all on the same wavelength, talking about the same thing from sort of a different perspective. How do we address the real problem that's setting us out of balance is the question. And I've heard a lot of interesting theories about what causes addiction and this harmful behavior and things like this in general. And to me, the best answer that I have is we haven't yet found a way to get those same feelings in a way that doesn't hurt us later, right? Because surely we've all experienced things where we've felt the tummy. Right now, have you felt this like that way, the same way you feel when you bite into your favorite food or do your favorite thing that just makes you feel good right now, even though it's not going to make you feel good later? Have you found other things that make you feel that same way but are not harmful later? Things that are positive now and positive later? Have you guys found things like this in life? Show of hands, or if anyone wants to share. Yeah? Anyone want to share?
Walking or exercising in the morning, I feel better the rest of the day.
Yeah, me too. I do the same thing. Even if it's just a half-hour walk, just the act of doing that, or for me sometimes it's physical, like exercise or doing something, even like jumping around on my trampoline, for example, just makes me feel good then. And then when I get off, I'm less compelled. And also, generally speaking, when I do something physical, I'm just less hungry afterwards. I can go into exercise hungry, and then I don't feel hungry afterwards. It's kind of funny. It's interesting. It sort of just changes my whole frequency, my whole pattern, and makes me think about other stuff. Anyone else have, what's up, Deb?
Sewing, writing, or creating,
Yeah.
painting,
Yeah.
drawing.
Even if the peak from that experience is more like just a comfortable, relaxed, calm flow state when you're doing it, from your creative expression or whatever it is, the way that you feel afterwards, the satisfaction from creating something, it's a much more lasting satisfaction, I think, that makes us less likely to want to do things that aren't good for us. Yeah, great input. Anyone else have anything they wanted to share? Or? Okay. Well, I think that was an interesting little discussion there, a little Friday morning chat we had this morning. Hope you guys picked up some new perspective on the subject and maybe some new ideas. We all do this in some way, shape, or form, and we've got some new ideas to kind of play around with. And maybe we'll just take a few minutes later today to just stop, think about it, and really think about it. Like, what is a behavior that could be one or two or three of your go-to behaviors that will help you feel good now, or at least better, get you off the bat. If you're, dragging and scraping the bottom, of your frequency range and you're just not feeling good at all, what are the things that you already know you can do to elevate your frequency, at least up closer to your baseline, to where you don't feel bad, you would say, to where you feel in between. And if you can at least get to there, and you've got something that's going to make you feel better and elevate you as time goes on in the future, because you're doing something healthy and positive for yourself, I'd say that's the answer to the addiction problem right there. Toastmaster?
Sean's speech is so helpful. He gives tips to make us healthier physically and mentally, and that's really, really good.